Hello, friends. Welcome to day 2 of our journey through the Gospel of John. It's lunchtime on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and it's interesting. I was just thinking about this passage here that we're going to be starting in John chapter 2, how appropriate that would be. This short chapter, John chapter 2, has 2 major occurrences in it. One is the wedding at Cana, where Jesus turns the water into wine. And the second is when Jesus comes into the temple and cleanses the temple for the first time. And we're going to look at those 2 briefly. And interestingly, this first one has some potential embedded extra meanings about the coming Messianic kingdom that we see represented in John or in Joel and in Amos. And we're going to be reading today from the Christian Standard Bible. And I'm going to preface this with Joel chapter 3:13. Swing the sickle because the harvest is ripe. Come and trample the grapes because the winepress is full. The wine vats are overflowing because the wickedness of the nations is extreme. And Amos 9:13 and 14. Look, the days are coming. This is the Lord's declaration, when the plowman will overtake the reaper and the one who treads grapes, the sower of seed. The mountains will drip with sweet wine and all the hills will flow with it. I will restore the fortunes of my people Israel. They will rebuild and occupy ruined cities, plant vineyards and drink their wine, make gardens and eat their produce. Some scholars and commentators would say that Jesus is turning the water into wine was a fulfillment of the Joel 3 and Amos 9 passages. And very well could be. But I believe if this is the first recorded miracle of Jesus, it's only recorded in the Gospel of John. And if this is in fact his first recorded miracle, it may very well be that he was doing it to show that the Messianic age had come. Pretty interesting. So, John chapter 2. On the 3rd day, a wedding took place in Cana of Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples were invited to the wedding as well. When the wine ran out, Jesus' mother told him, "They don't have any wine." "What does that have to do with you and me, woman?" Jesus asked. "My hour has yet not come." Some people would say, well, that seemed a little harsh, how Jesus worded that. But that's in our English vernacular, if you will. If we go back and look at it from the Greek text, a lot of scholars would also say that you could easily translate that, "Dear woman, why do you involve me?" So I'm going to assume that Jesus was being loving and respectful to his mother. I think that is the way that Jesus probably was. Going on to verse 5 here. "Do whatever he tells you," his mother told the servants. Do whatever Jesus tells you. I think that's good advice for all of us today. Verse 6. Now 6 stone water jars had been set there for Jewish purification. Each contained 20 or 30 gallons. Fill the jars with water, Jesus told them. So they filled them to the brim. Then he said to them, "Now draw some out and take it to the head waiter." And they did. When the head waiter tasted the water after it had become wine, he did not know where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. He called the groom and told him, "Everyone sets out the fine wine first, then after the people are drunk, the inferior. But you have kept the fine wine until now." Jesus did this, the first of his signs in Cana of Galilee. He revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. After this, he went down to Capernaum, together with his mother, his brothers, and his disciples, and they stayed there only a few days. I'm going to pause there. A powerful statement, and I love the fact in that passage that the fine wine, the best wine, was the wine that Jesus had turned the water into the wine there. It was the finest wine. And we'll just keep going here. John chapter 2, verse 13. Cleansing the temple. The Jewish Passover was near, and so Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple, he found people selling oxen, sheep, and doves, and he also found money changers sitting there. After making a whip out of cords, he drove everyone out of the temple with their sheep and oxen. He also poured out the money changers' coins and overturned the tables. He told those who were selling doves, "Get these things out of here. Stop turning my Father's house into a marketplace." I've heard different people say, well, that showed anger, and that showed, he was just kind of losing his cool. And well, the next verse here talks about how, and his disciples remembered what is written, "Zeal for your house will consume me." What was happening there was the outer court, the court of the Gentiles, out of convenience, they had turned it into a marketplace so that people didn't have to bring their sacrifices with them and drag along a goat or a sheep or doves or an oxen or whatever, but that they could buy them there. And these people who were selling to the people not only were taking up part of the temple worship area that was supposed to be used for worshiping God, but they turned it into a marketplace that was taking advantage of the people, selling these things at exorbitant prices. And they had used God's holy land around the temple spot, as a place to make a profit and take advantage of the people that had come to worship. And Jesus was exhibiting holy righteousness, anger towards that, and saying, "This is wrong. Get out of here. Don't turn my Father's house into a market." And he had driven them out. And I love that he protected and he defended the honor of God's house, and that this house would be a place of prayer and worship of the one true God, and not some place for this guy over here to make a quick buck, taking advantage of the people. So going on to verse 18. So the Jews replied to him, "What sign do you show us for doing these things?" Jesus answered, "Destroy this temple, and I will raise it up in 3 days." Therefore the Jews said, "This temple took 46 years to build, and you will raise it up in 3 days?" Verse 21, but he was speaking about the temple of his body. So when he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they believed the scripture and the statement Jesus had made. I love that. But he was speaking about the temple of his body. He was foretelling 3 days. If you tear this temple down in 3 days, he would raise it back up. Verse 23, while he was in Jerusalem during the Passover festival, many believed in his name when they saw the signs he was doing. Jesus, however, would not entrust himself to them, since he knew them all, and because he did not need anyone to testify about man, for he himself knew what was in man. Jesus came in, he turned water into wine in Cana, and then he went to Jerusalem, and he cleansed the temple. He does this again later during the Passion Week, when he comes back into Jerusalem after he fulfills several prophecies, Zechariah 9:9, and riding into Jerusalem on a donkey, etc., etc. And he does the second cleansing of the temple during the Passion Week. But this is setting up the amazing ministry that Jesus has for this period. I look forward to diving into next time we do this, which will be tomorrow, John chapter 3, probably my all-time favorite chapter with Jesus and Nicodemus. We'll be talking about that tomorrow, but I hope this has blessed you. God bless you, friends. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I hope that this little study of John chapter 2 today helped you reflect on Christ, and as we start to see the miracles unfold. Love you. God bless you. We'll talk to you soon.